Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Casey. The time right now is 4:27 on our Thursday morning. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on Good Morning Indiana. We do have several top stories to talk about today before we officially get into the show. Now, back in May when we had all of the unrest here in downtown Indianapolis and a curfew in place, you may remember viral video of this arrest of two women here in the streets of Indianapolis. They were arrested for violating curfew as they're making their way to their car. So the video was disturbing to many, and now we're learning from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office that the officers involved in this arrest will be indicted for battery charges and obstruction of justice during this arrest. Our Rafael Sanchez talked to the Marion County Prosecutor about the indictment. The Marion County Prosecutor also mentions that no one has been convicted of a crime. This is just an indictment. So we will continue to follow this story as it develops. Now, we do want to talk about another issue that could impact you if you rent a home, maybe an apartment around the state of Indiana. We know that starting on Friday, that's tomorrow, all across the state of Indiana, that eviction process can start as the moratorium on those have been put on hold due to the coronavirus pandemic. So that is set to expire. So we're going to be talking about some different resources that you can look for if you're needing help paying some of your bills. Also keep in mind, just talk to your landlord, talk to your utility offices, and see if you can set up a payment plan, and we'll continue to keep you updated on more with that. Let's take a turn now to our Todd Clausen. He's standing by from home. Todd, what can we expect as we head out the door this Thursday?
You know, it's going to be a great day for us here across central Indiana, Lauren. Probably the best weather day that we have this week, simply because the temperatures are going to be very summer-like, and also we're going to feature sunshine with no rain in the forecast. We're getting off to a cooler start to the north once again this morning, down to 61 in Kokomo, 62 in Muncie, Bloomington still at 71 degrees, and Indy at 69. You can see radar in the center of your screen is completely quiet, and that's the way it should stay today, at least throughout the entire day, or most of the day. Late in the day, some clouds are going to start to increase. As far as the temperature, our normal high is 84 degrees, going up to 86 here this afternoon, putting us just a couple degrees above normal. So it's a good summer-like day for the middle of August. Enjoy today because some changes start to arrive tomorrow. The biggest change you'll notice is the return of storms to the forecast. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. We're talking about virtual school options and heading out to Wayne Township. We know several students are doing virtual options, but parents are concerned that students at Ben Davis University do not have a virtual option. The district tells us this is the safest building in the district. We'll tell you why coming up here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:32, IMPD officers facing multiple charges in connection to an arrest caught on camera during the May protests. We do have the latest on the case and the grand jury indictments. The state is promising to provide more information about COVID-19 cases in schools and nursing homes across our state. We'll show you what that looks like. And the White House is now advising schools to use masks to protect students and staff in the classroom, how the federal government is working to help supply face coverings, and why a mandate has not been issued. But first, here at 4:30, I want to thank you for starting your morning with us here on RTV6. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is standing by from home this Thursday. Todd, good morning to you. What can we expect as we head out the door today?
You know, a good amount of sunshine, Lauren, and as you walk out the door initially here this morning, temperatures, again, pretty comfortable for us across the area. In fact, some locations to the north right now are sitting in the low 60s, 62 in Muncie, and typically Muncie is one of our warmer areas. 64 in Peru as well as Tipton. As you work your way south, temperatures go up a couple degrees. 69 in Indianapolis, 71 in Bloomington as well as Bedford. Here's a live look at the track. It was great to see the cars out there yesterday as we began practice. They should have no issues there this morning either. And since in the afternoon hours is fine as well, as we'll have plenty of sunshine, just some warm temperatures. You can see the clearer skies across central Indiana will expand out. All the rain is still off to our south. So enjoy just a very nice, typical August summer-like day across the area. About 81 degrees by the time we get to the noon hour with high temperatures this afternoon, Lauren, in the mid-80s with just a mixture mixture of sun and clouds.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. This is I-65, a view near West Street and MLK. We're hearing from INDOT. They're just wrapping up some road work in the southbound lanes. Everything is open right now, so that's great news if you're heading in and out of the downtown area. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads, but right now everything is smooth sailing around central Indiana. New from overnight, a man is in critical condition after a shooting near an East Side motel. This happened at around 1:30 in the parking lot near Rural Inn on East Michigan Street. When police arrived, they found a man in his 50s suffering from gunshot wounds and transported to the hospital. Police have not released any suspect information. Police are also investigating a shooting that happened about a half hour later on the northwest side. This happened on Idlewood Parkway near Eagle Creek and 38th Street. Police say a 28-year-old woman was shot in that incident and was driven about a half mile north on Eagle Creek Parkway, where police were called. Her condition is not known at this time. If you have any information on either of these shootings, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. We do have more on a developing story this morning. 2 officers with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department are facing battery and obstruction of justice charges after an incident during an Indianapolis protest in late May. The incident involved 2 women who have since filed excessive force lawsuit against the 4 IMPD officers involved. The arrests were caught on camera and showed Ivory Westfield and Rachel Harding being hit by batons and pepper bullets. RTV6 does not have that video, but it has since gone viral on social media. The women were being arrested for violating the city's curfew while they say they were walking to their car. Now, Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears announced indictments from the grand jury against 2 of the officers involved. Officer Jonathan Horlock is facing 3 battery charges along with perjury, obstruction of justice, and official misconduct. Officer Horlock could face up to 17 years in prison if convicted and sentenced to the maximum penalty on all of those charges. Officer Nathaniel Schwawecker is facing 4 battery charges and 2 official misconduct charges. He's convicted and sentenced to a maximum penalty on all those charges. He would be in prison for 15 years. Now, Prosecutor Ryan Mears says that this decision reached by the grand jury is only a reflection of the evidence that was presented to them, but wants people to know the officers cannot excuse their behavior by saying this is how they were trained. Mears also pointed out that these are only indictments and no one has been convicted of a crime yet. Our Rafael Sanchez spoke with Mears about this case. He'll have more for us coming up at 6 a.m. It is 4:34. Now we want to go to the latest on COVID-19 and its impact here on the state of Indiana. Here's a look at the latest numbers. The State Department of Health confirming 671 new cases of the virus. That's about 200 less than reported on Monday. A total of 76,522 cases have been confirmed since this outbreak began. 15 new deaths were also reported, bringing the death toll to 2,878. More than 866,000 Hoosiers have been tested for the virus so far. Governor Eric Holcomb and other state leaders say they're going to be releasing more information when it comes to COVID cases in schools and nursing homes. The state is now launching a searchable long-term care dashboard. Nursing homes are required to submit their data to the state. The state will then verify the information and add it to the dashboard. The state health commissioner says officials are considering a school dashboard as well. By our count, there are 55 confirmed cases right now in central Indiana in schools alone, and hundreds of students and staff are being quarantined. We asked why the state is not providing clearer guidelines for schools as they begin classes.
All of the decisions that we've made with regards to this pandemic have been difficult decisions to make. And that's why our local public health people and the State Department of Health are happy to partner with any superintendents, principals, school administrators, local health departments across the state to help in that decision-making process as we look at all the different metrics of their particular county.
Well, Dr. Box also reiterated that schools will not be COVID-free, but they need to develop plans to quickly isolate and minimize the spread. At 4:36, Purdue University has begun welcoming students back to campus, and so far their pre-arrival COVID-19 tests, only 1% have tested positive. The university says that of more than 15,000 tested, 133 came back positive for the virus. By the time school starts on August 24th, 40,000 students are expected to be tested. Those who test positive for the virus must self-isolate for 10 days before they can come to West Lafayette. Purdue says it's also working on its own dashboard to update the cases on its website. Some bad news for Butler fans this morning. All Big East fall sports are postponed. That includes men's and women's soccer, cross country, and volleyball. The Big East says it will be looking to continue fall sports in the spring. Butler's football season was already postponed by the Pioneer Football League. The Trump administration remains adamant about reopening U.S. classrooms, and it released 8 general recommendations for schools, similar to earlier hygiene tips. It all comes on the heels of some students and staff entering isolation after testing positive for the virus. John Lawrence has more.
President Trump announcing the federal government is providing up to 125 million masks to schools nationwide.
My administration also stands ready to deploy CDC teams to support schools that are opening and schools that need help in safety.
The White House is encouraging students and staff to use masks, but there's no mandate.
The president's priority is to open the schools and open them safely and have parents have the options to either use open schools or do whatever they can to eventually get back to open schools.
But some health experts are skeptical about the White House's new coronavirus advisor, Dr. Scott Atlas.
A neuroradiologist, someone with no public health experience, who has advocated for herd immunity, now advising the President of the United States. Herd immunity means 1 million dead Americans. That's what it would take to get to herd immunity. That's not a plan. That's a catastrophe.
The push to get students back in class comes as the U.S. is averaging nearly 53,000 new cases per day, according to Johns Hopkins University. That's an 11% drop from the week before.
We got to go to school. We got to open up. We got to open up our schools and open up our businesses. And a lot of it has been open, but we can do better.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and running mate Senator Kamala Harris appearing for the first time together last night, coming up their message to voters as they begin a new phase on the road to the White House. And Indianapolis Colts, they're honoring the life of offensive coach Howard Mudd. How many, including Peyton Manning, are remembering the big impact that he had on the whole team? Todd.
And Lauren, a great day on tap for us here across central Indiana. Some scattered storms off to our west. They will not impact us today. However, going forward in the forecast, storms do return starting tomorrow. We'll talk about that and look ahead to your weekend as well, coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast when Good Morning Indiana returns right here on RTV 6.
Welcome back. With less than 3 months until Election Day, the campaign is kicking into full gear. Former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris coming out swinging at their first event together as running mates. ABC's Inez de la Cotera is in Washington now with the latest.
Senator Kamala Harris officially joining the Democratic ticket and jumping right in.
The case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut.
Former Vice President Joe Biden and the California senator appearing for their first time together as running mates, blasting President Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and current economic crisis.
This is what happens when we elect a guy who just isn't up for the job. Our country ends up in tatters.
Harris becoming the first black woman and first Asian American woman on the ticket of a major political party.
You ready to go to work?
Oh my God, I'm so ready to go to work.
And that history-making pick boosting fundraising. The pair helping raise $26 million in 24 hours. President Trump taking notice and hitting right back during an interview with Sinclair Broadcasting.
She is a disaster. She's going to be a disaster, I think, for their party.
But the Trump team is also sending mixed signals, calling the former prosecutor both too soft on crime and too tough.
I don't want someone who says that they are not going to be tough on hardened criminals. She fought to keep inmates locked up in overcrowded prisons.
Biden standing up for his new running mate.
Donald Trump has already started his attacks, calling Kamala, quote, nasty, whining about how she is, quote, mean to his appointees. It's no surprise, because whining is what Donald Trump does best.
And overnight, new details emerging about the Democrats' convention next week. The 13 candidates who ran against Biden in the primary will appear at a virtual event. Inez de la Cotera, ABC News, Washington.
Some people are returning to work after months of being at home, and so it's a big change for people, and it's a big change for their pets as well. Veterinarians warn it could cause pets some separation anxiety. Many have gotten used to a new routine of having their humans home, but other dogs may be more prone to anxiety if they already suffer from other types of it, like when there's a thunderstorm or loud noises. So if you're heading back to work soon, a few things you can do to ease their anxiety is go away for a while, practice crate training, and when you return home, try not to make such a big deal out of it.
Obviously a completely natural instinct to greet, our dogs that are just thrilled to see us. We're just as thrilled to see them and pet them and coo over them. But that really makes it this huge highlight when you leave and come back. And so the general recommendation, if you have a dog who's been acting that way, is greet them briefly and then try to let them calm down.
It is important to reward calm behavior. You can also talk to your veterinarian if medication may help. Countries around the world are still trying to pinpoint the exact origin of COVID-19. Recently, some researchers have been catching hundreds of bats to do so. Scientists in Thailand have been searching the caves for the flying mammals. Previous research show that the closest match to the coronavirus was in a horseshoe bat, which are the most common in southern China. However, Thailand is home to 19 species as well. Researchers collected saliva and blood samples, and they are now in the process using lab results to see if any of the bats have the virus. This morning, state health officials are encouraging Hoosiers to protect themselves from mosquitoes. The warning comes as mosquitoes in Marion, Allen, and St. Joseph counties have tested positive for West Nile virus. No humans have tested positive for the disease so far. According to the CDC, symptoms for West Nile include high fever, headache, and stiff neck. Floodwaters caused this massive sinkhole in Manassas Park, Virginia. You can see a full tree fell inside the hole with cement and dirt crumbling around it. Officials say about 400 residents are trapped in their neighborhood because that road is the only way in and the only way out. In the flooding, one car was swept away and more were damaged by the water, which rose over 6 inches. Officials say they're working to create a temporary road in and out of that community. It is 4:46. It is time to get a check of our forecast back here at home. A dry Thursday, right, Todd?
Yeah, for the most part. I think some showers could sneak in late in the day in some southern locations, Lauren. But other than that, the daytime hours today, we should be in tip-top shape all across central Indiana with partly cloudy skies and warm temperatures. In fact, we should be above normal today. Our average high this time of year is 84 degrees. Today, forecast takes us up to 86 degrees. So it's only a couple degrees above normal, but very typical weather you would expect for the middle of August. And when you see the 7-day planning forecast in just a minute or two here, there's a big change coming. So that's why I wanted to start you off with the average high temperature for this time of year. I love this shot. Beautiful with the American flag there going into turn 1 at IMS as practice kicked off yesterday. The pylon all lit up there as well. Should be a good day of practice for all the drivers and crew members later on this afternoon and even this morning as it kicks off there at IMS. Temperature right now 69 degrees. That wind once again this morning is out of the northeast. That's a drier wind direction. That's knocked the humidity down just a little bit. Yesterday you kind of felt it a little bit in the afternoon hours. But it wasn't terrible. 71 in Bloomington and Bedford right now, 66 in Greenfield, and 64 is the current temperature in Peru as well as the Tipton area. Now, the satellite radar picture here shows partly cloudy skies. There's a little more in the way of cloud cover in some southern locations, but that should thin out very quickly once the sun comes up. And as far as storms go, they're mainly all down to our south, but eventually these will start to lift to the north as we work our way throughout the course of the next 24 hours or so. And TrueCast is trying to bring a few of those spotty showers into southern locations this afternoon. I don't think they'll be very successful here in central Indiana. Once we get to southern Indiana, right along the Ohio River and down into Kentucky, a little better chance of a spot shower in the forecast later on this afternoon and this evening. So plan on a dry day for us, a decent day, up to 81 degrees with partly cloudy skies by the noon hour. Our high temperature today, 85 to 86 degrees. And then this evening, if you have plans, you are just fine. Tomorrow, more in the way of cloud cover. It's going to be a little bit cooler, but tomorrow we also bring in the chance of some storms. And with the area of low pressure to our south, they are going to start to back into the area. So watch how they develop and kind of move from east to west across the area. Not what we would typically see. They'll be scattered in nature, but again, around throughout the afternoon and evening hours on Friday, then again on Saturday. And then once the front goes through on Sunday, look at that beautiful stretch of weather, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Lots of sunshine, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s with low temperatures, Lauren, down into the 50s both Tuesday and Wednesday morning.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic right now. This is over on the east side, I-70 and Emerson Avenue. You can see a vehicle there with the flashers on, a disabled vehicle in a shoulder, but overall traffic moving eastbound and westbound on I-70 is traveling up to speed. No issues to slow you down. So many from the Indianapolis Colts are mourning the loss of beloved offensive line coach Howard Mudd. Mudd died from injuries he suffered in a motorcycle accident last month. He spent 12 seasons as the offensive line coach with Pro Bowlers like Jeff Saturday and Terry Glenn. In 2019, he returned to the Colts as an offensive coach. Jim Irsay and Peyton Manning and many others, they took to Twitter to remember Mudd. Manning said, in part, quote, "Howard Mudd was the best offensive line coach in the NFL in NFL history. He will be missed by many. I know so many like me are grateful to have played for him." Howard Mudd was 78 years old. In Louisville, Churchill Downs says that fans will be able to attend this year's Kentucky Derby. A maximum of 23,000 people will be allowed to attend. There will be no general admission tickets issued, with no admittance to the infield and no standing room only areas. Seating areas will be restricted to 40% capacity, and fans will have to remain in their ticketed areas. Masks will also be mandatory. The Derby is scheduled for Saturday, September 5th. Pacers have returned to their winning ways down in the bubble. They took on the Houston Rockets last night without TJ Warren, who sat out with soreness. The team made a comeback in the second half and held off the Rockets, with Justin Holiday hitting 2 free throws in the final 10 seconds to seal the win, 108-104. And the victory means the Pacers and the Miami Heat will face off in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The two play each other tomorrow at 4 in the last regular season matchup of the restart. Playoffs will start either Monday or Tuesday. Scientists have discovered a new dinosaur. Just after the break, what we know about the prehistoric creature and how it may be related to the T-Rex. It is 4:51. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It is 4:55. Here's a live look at I-70 near German Church Road to our east. No slowdowns at this hour, but this is through an area where we usually have some active construction, so just be aware of that. It looks like there's no orange barrels on the roads or travel lanes at this hour, so that is good news. So a new dinosaur has been discovered in England, and it may be related to the mighty T-Rex. The University of Southampton paleontologists spent months studying 4 bones found last year off England's south coast. They determined the bones were from the neck, back, and tail of a new dino previously unknown to science. They believe it lived about 115 million years ago, and like the T-Rex, they say it walked on 2 legs instead of 4. The bones will now be displayed at a dinosaur museum on the island of Wight. All right, let's get a check of our Thursday forecast back here at home. Todd, what can people expect as they head out there this morning?
You know, it's a good forecast for us as you walk out the door this morning, Lauren. Pretty comfortable in the 60s and 70s with partly cloudy skies. And we'll keep the skies partly cloudy throughout the day today with a high of 86 degrees. Storms return tomorrow, primarily in the afternoon hours. Then some more scattered storms on Saturday with a high of 85, but a beautiful stretch of weather settles in with the temperatures actually below normal, but plenty of sunshine Sunday afternoon all the way through the middle of next week. The time now is 4:56. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV 6. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.